Welcome to Mediation, the New Possibilities Hour. It is August 13th, 2020, and we are here with Professor Sukhsimranjit Singh, the Executive Director, Managing Director, I should say, of the Strauss Institute for Dispute Resolution at Pepperdine University School of Law. Pepperdine University School of Law's ADR program, the Strauss Institute, is always top rated in the country, and Sukhsimran has brought it to even greater heights in the last several years that he has been serving as managing director. Today, his topic will be mediating well across cultures. And before we get into the details of the presentation, to which we're all very excited about that, I just want to remind people we are part of the Will Work for Food project organized by Natalie Armstrong-Motan. There's no charge for these valuable webinars. Rather, if you like what you see, we ask that you please contribute money to a food bank of your choice. Natalie, are we at the $50,000 mark yet?
We are almost at $50,000, Jeff, almost. Our industry has done an unbelievably good job at helping our neighbors and friends that have food insecurity right now. So we've got to keep the donations coming in.
Fantastic. So we hope people like what they see today. And if you are so moved, please contribute to a food bank of your choice. Sukhsimran, is there a particular food bank that you would like to mention, please?
No, I don't have any particular. If you have one, please share, Jeff.
Well, here in Los Angeles, where we live, Sukhsimran, the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, lafoodbank.org, serves the needs of those with food insecurity here in Los Angeles, and appreciate contributions there. And if people have preferred food banks in their local communities, please support the food bank of your choice. And with that, our friend, our colleague, our mentor, our leader, our inspiration, Sukhsimran, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Natalie, for inviting me. What a pleasure to be here with all of you. The plan today is I will speak for about 25 to 30 minutes at most. And when I say it from American lens, which means I mean it. And if this was 20 years ago, that would have meant hour and a half to 2 hours. Just want to be clear on those cultural expectations. And the other thing is I'm here to lay the ground rules, some rather groundwork. I'm going to just do some groundwork, introduce the idea of how I think about negotiating across cultures. What is negotiation? Some tips and traits. And then let's have a Q&A. Let's keep it informal and have a Q&A afterwards. Any questions you have, I'll be happy to cover. Are we good?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. I just wanted to make a couple of comments before I dig deeper into my topic. One is I hope you and your families are safe. I always say we are the privileged ones. We can sit on a camera and a nice computer and talk about world problems and resolutions. And there are people who can't and can't afford to, and they're going through very difficult times. So I appreciate the initiatives here that we are in donating for food bank rather than charging money for some other purpose. So I appreciate that, Natalie. Thank you, Natalie Armstrong, for all the initiatives you made this far. A second comment, I won't be here without my mentors, without my elders. So I thank my parents, I thank my teachers who have taught me a lot, and my students who continue to teach me. Some of them are here, and I'm worried now because they're so smart. So they're gonna ask something that's gonna trump me. Okay, so with that, let's get going. The first question I have for you to think about, I'm gonna pose some questions to myself and answer them, if I may. Okay, the first question I have for myself is, what do I mean by negotiating across cultures? What is negotiating across cultures? So there are two terms now, negotiation and culture. If you look at the term of negotiation, right, it comes from a Latin word. And the real meaning, I believe, goes to despair. In fact, it goes to the heart of I'm not happy and I have to compete. Isn't that interesting? So when you negotiate, some of us don't feel comfortable negotiating. And you can see the very meaning of the word negotiation perhaps helps you that you are not the only one. The other term is culture. Now I can speak just for 30 minutes on what is culture. Don't plan to do it, but let me just give you a couple of thinking ideas on culture. What is culture? Culture is something we all have. Culture sets its own rules. Culture creates expectations. Culture changes how we communicate. It impacts how we communicate. Culture also creates misunderstanding, and culture can create wars. It can create, through misunderstanding, it can create different set of expectations. So negotiating across cultures is a very heavy topic, and I plan to do little justice to it. So allow me, with that humble beginning, that I will give you my best that I've got in 25 minutes or 30 minutes, but this is a longer discussion. This will take days to deeply engage with. Okay, so now going away from title, negotiating across cultures, I want to make a couple of commentary points about negotiation further. There are four primary sources of resistance to negotiation. I spoke about the definition of negotiation. Some of us resist negotiation because of neurobiological reasons. Negotiation goes deeper into frisk, into run away, into hide. It is a reaction to some of us. So what is negotiation is fascinating across cultures. Second word we use is resistance is cultural. We don't negotiate well across cultures, and cultures create resistance to negotiation. Some cultures you're not supposed to negotiate. I am not supposed to negotiate with my father, for example, on some issues that are non-negotiable. My family, when they asked me to marry, it was non-negotiable. Can I choose my wife, or will they choose my wife? Okay, that's so some aspects of cultures and cultural norms are non-negotiable. A VIP, a very important person in some cultures, is supposed to come late, non-negotiable. All right. In some cultures, you go to people's homes and they offer you food. If they don't, you have to say yes. It may take you 2 or 3 steps. You have to say no a few times and then come to yes. But it is non-negotiable that you don't eat because it's deeply disrespectful. So what is negotiable in one culture can be non-negotiable in other culture. We'll go deeper into it a little bit. But so that first resistance is neurobiological. Second resistance is cultural. Third resistance is psychological. From a young age, we are taught to fight. We are taught to look for what we want. We have to cry to gain attention. We have to scream to get what we needed from our parents. We had to do all kinds of drama. And trust me, all of you who have kids or nieces and nephews, you understand what I mean by that. That creates an impact on our psychology, how we approach negotiation. It goes into our adulthood where we start thinking, okay, I do have to cry or scream or be angry or be a bully to be a good negotiator. Just think on that for a second. The last hurdle to be a good negotiator is moral. Some of us feel the need to be honest or dishonest, and that creates a whole set of expectations. Negotiation across the world has created these standards. The standards are bluffing is allowed, puffing is allowed, anchoring is allowed, some misinformation is allowed. And I try to look into the starting piece of there, and one of the theory is it started in wars. When people went to wars, they couldn't disclose the real strength of their army, which direction they're coming from, not to lose the war. But unfortunately, centuries later, we still profess it, practice it, and we own it. Can we change that part of negotiation culture is a bigger question that I will just raise and may not answer today. All right, with that introduction, let's get into some basics of negotiating across cultures. Number one, there are some universal truths about negotiating across culture. All cultures do it. So there is nothing like only Americans negotiate, Indians, Brazilians negotiate. When I talk about culture, I'll talk about 3 kinds of cultures. The first culture I just gave you example is national culture, Indian, Brazilian, Italian, American, so forth and so on. The other culture you should be thinking about is organizational culture, very strong culture. Lawyers tend to negotiate differently than business folks. In fact, I ran an exercise for 10 years, close to 10 years, at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. And my colleague, David Friedman, and I would invite students from business school to interact with law school students. And it's a day-long negotiation exercise. And here's a quick summary of the exercise. At the end of the day, we had drastic different reactions to the negotiation, not based on what they got, based on who they were. So if they were business students or business folks, and these were some executive students as well, so they own businesses, their reactions was very different than if they were lawyers or law students. I'll give you a quick example on that. I had a student from Egypt. His name was Ahmed. He came to me in the beginning of that day, one of those years, and he said, Professor Singh, I'm so happy and pleased that you gave me this opportunity to negotiate with lawyers. I had invited some young lawyers and law students, and I truly look forward to negotiating with them as a team against other people and learning something great about negotiation that you have taught us throughout the last 3-4 months. It was an advanced negotiation course. 5 p.m., Ahmed comes back to me. Again, Ahmed from Egypt. His body language is different. His tone is slightly different. And he says, Professor Singh, I say, yeah. You know, that was a good opportunity. I appreciate you letting me be with lawyers all day. Yes, Ahmed. Anything wrong? No, Professor, nothing is wrong. I do want to make a quick comment, though. What is that? This was my first time working with so many attorneys and law students. I swear to God, I don't want to work with them again. And that's the organizational culture of negotiation. Lawyers perceive business folks as they love to take a risk. They love to apologize. They were all about relationships. And the business folk, and this is the data from 10 years, okay? 9 years rather, 9 years. And the other side, the business folks will see lawyers, they like to take control. They like to talk. They don't like to apologize. They don't care about relationships in the short term. And look how different these two folks are. So culture is not just national culture, ethnicity, race. It's also organizational culture. The third tip I will talk about culture quickly, negotiating across cultures, is this. Some of us belong to multiple cultures. We complicate things further. I will speak quickly about diasporic identity and negotiation. Think for a minute with me. Let's say I'm Italian. Hold on. Let's say I'm a very good-looking Italian man. Don't smile. Let's see, some of you smile. You're out. Jeff, please kick a couple of people out from here. You know, truth, you're not supposed to smile on truth. Anyways, that's a different negotiation. So let's say I'm a very good-looking Italian man, and I have moved to the United States 30 years ago, okay? And I've been living in the United States for 30 years, and let's say I'm 55 years old, so most of my time has been in the US, but a substantial chunk of it, 25 years, has been in Italy. I grew up in Italy. My values are Italian. I love to speak Italian. I love to talk to people from Italian mindset. Now, at 55 years, I'm negotiating a corporate deal with a client who's, let's make it easy. I was going to say Japanese American, but let's say American client in LA. And if that American client has to do some research about me, in any negotiation, you should do some research, right? You should understand who the other party is, what have they done, what are their cultural attributes, and so forth, personality, and so forth and so on. The question you should be asking is he going to negotiate from an Italian mindset or an American mindset? And that question is very complicated, my friends. You have no idea how difficult that can be. And here's a quick answer to that to tell you what I mean by it. There is diasporic identity in negotiation. Now, if I am the Italian gentleman, I moved away 30 years ago, and I have gone back to Italy every year since I moved away. I have Italian friends I live with, and I consult with, I go back. Then chances are that I am both Italian and American. Now, that's just a theory, but just listen to me for that. If I have not gone back to Italy for 30 years, and I've only lived in the business community in LA for 30 years, now you should be thinking, am I going to negotiate from Italian perspective or American? And some of us make a mistake here. We think at that point, this person is going to be American because he's been in America for 30 years. That's where the theory is very interesting. You actually, when you leave a culture, you take a snapshot, you take a photo of that culture. So sometimes the person who left Italy, India, Brazil, Japan 30, 40, 50 years ago, and they have not gone back in some instances, maybe more Italian, Indian, Brazilian, Japanese than person who recently immigrated. Because the picture in their mind of the culture, and here comes the deeper part, cultural values, is the one they're beholding to themselves and is the one they took 30, 40 years ago. Now, as you all know, culture changes slowly at different pace in different cultures, right? America is going through a change right now as we speak. There was a change 100 years ago. Women couldn't vote many decades ago. There's a change. It's slow, but it's there. And in some cultures, change is even slower. Historic-looking cultures like India and China. They're towards civilization, history, and it's very difficult for them to change at the pace in which Western cultures change. But they're both making some changes, right? So that's the real question about negotiation. Is my tip there is simple. Diasporic identity or not. Organizational culture or national culture or your personal culture, whatever your collective upbringing is. My third pillar to the culture piece, which is your bipolar, your multicultural, your culture. Whichever culture you belong to, the real question comes, what can we do in a negotiation when we are dealing with such cultures, any of those or all of those? So how about I give you some tips and then go back to theory and give you some little more theory, okay? Let's get into practice. So first thing I want you to think about is this. I'll give you 5 things to think about, okay? This can go in many directions, so I'm just gonna focus on 5 things. Number 1 is body language. Huge in international intercultural negotiations. If I do this to you in India, you know what this means. Namaste, right? This also means submission in some faiths, Christianity, Judaism, so forth. This means submission. This means humility. This means respect. So sometimes we speak way more through our body than through actual words. Now, some of you may start believing in those statistics out there, 60%, 70% is body language. Please don't jump on to believing in them. Research has been questioning exactly how much it changes from culture to culture, context to context. We do not have an exact number, and you cannot have a number. How much do we speak from body? But pay attention to body language. If somebody is sad, they will first express it through their body, then through their mouth. Number 2, communication across cultures beyond body language. There is less words versus more words. There is directness versus indirectness. There is use of emotions versus rationality. Let me say what I'm saying here. Edward Hall, an American anthropologist, did some amazing work on looking at how people talk across cultures. And you know what he found out? He found out that, fascinatingly, some cultures we talk a lot and we talk loudly and we talk directly when we negotiate. Okay, he named these cultures as low context. Cultures, low context. Remember, close to ground, low context, a lot of information. And then he made on to do some predictions which are coming through. These cultures not only love to talk, they're very direct. They expect you to express your opinions openly, clearly, loudly. This expectation that is created because of your belief in your culture is where intercultural negotiations fail. So be with me. So on one end, you have a culture present which is expecting you to be clear, direct, loud. Let's go to agenda. Let's figure this out. And informal on top of it. On the other end, Edward Hall says there are cultures that are different. That are these. They speak more through body language. They are indirect. They are more formal. They speak less words. Context matters to them a lot. Now you put these 2 cultures together and you're bound to have some misunderstanding. A typical example, if I may go back, is an example of which is also on YouTube by my friend Giuseppe Di Paolo from UN and Ken Fox, is an example of an Italian meeting an American for a business deal. An Italian comes in and he's on the phone and he says, how are you doing and everything, and he's speaking Italian English mix, and he's looking at the American. He says, hey, good to see you, Mr. Fox, so nice to see you. And he finishes the phone, puts it down, and the American, already prepared, arrived on time, actually before time, sitting down with notes, has 5 agenda items laid down, and says, Giuseppe, Ken. He wants to be informal, or he may say Mr. Ken. Okay. Giuseppe says, oh, Ken, nice meeting you. So how's Italy for you? And Ken says, well, Italy is very good. Everything is great. And today I have 4 hours and I have 6 agenda items. I think we can reach a very good deal today. And the Italian says, oh, wonderful. But before we go there, how about we chat about our family? How is your family doing? Did you bring your wife with you? My wife is home and we got a couple of kids running around, and I would love to have a dinner together or lunch together. You see the difference here? And the American says, oh, wonderful. I think lunch is great. We can have a possibility. How about we get into our agenda and then we'll see how we progress. Now, for an Italian, he wants to connect first. He wants to get to know you. For an American, he wants to get to the agenda. This is partly stereotypical. We're all changing. Americans are becoming more worldly. They're understanding how culture plays a role. They understand when you go to India, you have to act certain ways, that you wear a white when you go to a funeral, that you go to people's homes when they invite you. We're understanding all of that. There are customs and traditions that you sit down on a floor at times and eat with your hand. So we are learning how we have to change. But in this stereotypical example, what you notice, what I wanted to show you was clash of 2 cultures, 2 cultural values. Now, folks, let me get you the crux of it and move to my next point. So far, I'm only focusing on communication. I've spoken about body language a little bit, and I'm speaking on spoken communication. Here is the crux of it. When you see a person, you do not see their values. You do not see what generates what they're going to say, which is their engine, how they speak. What you hear is what they're speaking, and what you see is how they're behaving. In every culture, people are built up of many different values, upbringing, traditions, which leads them to come to a comfort zone, which leads them to have a set of expectations when they are in public or when they're private, which leads them to create a worldview, how they see other people and see themselves, which leads them to come to a pattern, a habit of communication, which leads them to speak to you in a negotiation. So when they meet you, they don't do this. Hey, my name is Sukhsimranjit Singh. I grew up in a very proud Punjabi Sikh family. And my value system is that I like honesty, integrity, and I like people who trust me and respect me. If you disrespect me, I'll be deeply disrespected, and I may never speak to you ever again. But if you respect me, I have nothing to hold on, and everything that is mine is yours. I'm not going to do it. I want you to figure it out. That is the dance of negotiation, going back and forth. So let's go to our next tip, eye contact. Eye contact is amazing across cultures. Many of us actually miss it completely. And I want to make a couple of simple points on eye contact. Now I'm looking into your eyes, or you can see thinking that I'm trying to look into your eyes through camera. If you meet me in person, if you have taken any of my trainings, you will realize very quickly, I look at ground when I teach. I'm trained for most of my life not to look into people's eyes. Now, American Psychological Association first at one point made a prediction, not a judgment, not a conclusion, but an assumption or prediction that people who don't look into your eyes lie, or they have more propensity of lying if they don't look into your eyes. The good news, my friends, is this, that prediction has been debunked, and now people agree that even if people don't look into their eyes, there could be multiple factors. They are shy. They grew up in a culture where looking into eyes is aggressive and unacceptable. They're not looking into your eyes because you are from a different gender and of the same age. They're not looking into your eyes because they're uncomfortable. They're not looking into your eyes because they are sad. You see, there are different reasons for not. Anyway, so eye contact, please don't judge people just because they don't look into your eyes and negotiate. There are multiple variables. Okay, can they also be dishonest? Yes. Let's not exclude that. I'm not saying they cannot be dishonest. They can be dishonest, but there can be other factors that could be playing a role. That's why negotiations are so complicated. Point number 4. So I spent some time on body language, remember? Spent some time on communication. Then we jumped into with civilian communication on values and upbringing and worldviews. Then we jumped onto eye contact. And now I'm jumping on to point 4. And this is perhaps the most important tip I'll give you. I happen to have the privilege of traveling to 40 plus countries for my business. And some of the best ones in terms of my experience cross-culturally come to my mind, Italy, Brazil, India, China, Japan, Latvia, Peru, Copenhagen, of course, Paris. And I can go on and on, speak about the cultural differences in these countries. But here is the beautiful part. I do not speak French. I did learn French in my law school, and I have some understanding of bibliothèque, je m'appelle, and a few words, but I'm not fluent in French. But hopefully I'll pick up one day. I do not speak Portuguese. I speak 4 languages, but I don't speak Portuguese. I don't speak Spanish. And if you notice, many of the cultures I mentioned, or Japanese, were Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, or Italian. I could connect with people in those cultures. Trust me. I have friends in all those cultures. Through one simple tip that I'm going to give you. You don't need to learn the language at times. Learning language is beautiful. If you are at it, go ahead and learn language. Oh, my friend Chuck is here. Chuck, you know so much. You don't have to come and listen to me. Come on, buddy. Don't embarrass me. Go away. Go enjoy your day. Anyways, so nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence, Chuck. Now, Chuck is from Honolulu, and he'll tell you, if he has time, to speak to us about Hawaiian culture, which is so beautiful and different than mainland American culture in many ways. And that I've done a couple of mediations there, not too many, and I've learned so much. One of the learnings I had, I wore a whole suit and jacket and tie, and just look at Chuck right now. And all attorneys walked in, and nobody wore a tie or a suit. And I'm like, okay. Nice meeting you, folks. And I took my tie off, and just a simple tip. Beautiful, laid back culture. Now, going back to my example, how can I connect with people on all those nations? There's a simple thing, and that is respect in tone and delivery of what you're going to say. We miss our tone. I want you to appreciate how I am delivering what I'm just saying. I could be delivering like this, very analytical man. I can give you through an honor. I can give you through this hierarchy. This is what you must believe in. That's not how we should talk. And that tone is what connects people, because it has to come deep down. It has to be genuine. It has to be emotional. It has to be what people will feel rather than hear. And this emphasis we have on words will go away. Maya Angelou say people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Totally believe in that. But then I also said delivery. Respect in tone and delivery. Tone is what you're doing. Delivery has one more component. Delivery has component of when you should speak. In many negotiations around the world, I was younger, right? I'm still not 50 years old. I can tell you one thing. In some negotiations, some cultures, you have to be at least 50, 60, forget about 60, 65, 70-year-old, white hair, and a man, to have any command in the room. And look at me. I'm none of those. And I walk into a room and I quickly have to figure out, is it my time to speak yet or not? And if it is not, I should shut up and stay silent. And that intuition, that understanding, comes with experience, comes with reading the room, but comes with a simple fact. Is it time to deliver? Now, I want to give you some further tip there, because I think I'm liking you guys. There are 3 people here I like. There are 3 people here I don't like. Everybody else I like. And you know who you are. Gustavo is smiling. I don't know why. But Gustavo is a friend of ours from Brazil. So here's the deal. Maria, take care of Gustavo after this, okay? So here's the deal. What you have to see is, my friends, quality is more important than quantity. Speak when you should, speak less and make more impact. I was in a very high level office in India at one point. We were taken into, it was housed in President of India's house, the huge Rashtrapati Bhavan. And we went there Peter Robinson was with me, Al Sturgeon, my colleague from Pepperdine. We all three of us went there together. And at one point, the personal secretary to the president was talking to us. And the gentleman now is in DC working for World Bank. And at that time, he was in India. And he comes to us and he says, I would love to have a chat with all of you. I'm a very high level person in India, and I'll have to have a chat with all of you and have about 10 minutes. Okay. And tell us, what are we doing today? So we had a whole agenda laid out. We knew what we were looking for and everything. But folks, listen. Peter looked at me. I looked at Al. Three of us connected instantly. And they both were silent. They wanted me to speak. I was Indian in that sense. I could speak the Hindi language. I could connect with this person. I could lay the ground rule. I could have gone on for 10 minutes. You know what I did? I said this: it is my honor to be here with you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Today, I'm so impressed and blessed to have my amazing colleague, Professor Robinson, with me, and one of the top church members from my community, Mr. Al Sturgeon. And both of them are here to deliver you a message. That's it. I just laid the ground rule. This is not my time to negotiate. My colleagues who flew from US should speak, and they should be given an honor. And I'm the youngest in the room. All the rest of the people, now Peter's going to kill me after this once he hears, all the rest of the people were, I'm sure, above 50. Peter, I think, is 79 or 85. I don't know, somewhere there. So that's a joke. So let's go back to the last point now, okay? So I've given you 4 points to think about cross-cultural negotiation. Last point, let's be done in the next 2 or 3 minutes. The last point is use of emotions in negotiations. The way negotiation is taught in the US, we are missing one big point. We teach negotiation. There is distributive negotiation, which is competitive. You divide the pie. It's about fixed pie. And you do the negotiation dance. You anchor high. You gain information. You bargain. You break the movement. You generate the movement. If you come to a closure, very simple dance of negotiation, distributive. Then we have this whole theory of getting to yes, right? Integrative negotiation, going below the surface, interest-based. Hear them, where their needs are. And they're both amazing, and you need to use both, because we know, let me pause here, people still practice distributive negotiation, and people are learning to practice integrative or interest-based negotiation. They're both needed, and as Pepperdine, we'll teach both styles to you in our trainings. But my point is this: we are missing, there are very few colleagues who are now writing on emotions. We're missing a very deep part of cross-cultural negotiation, which is use of emotions. 2 tips. Number 1, emotions can be manipulative. Some cultures will use emotions not because they want to use emotions to share how sad they are, how emotional. They will use emotions because they know emotions will work well on you, and they want to get something out of it. Okay? Number 2, some people cannot be rational in an emotional negotiation. And you, as a facilitator, as a mediator, if you're mediating between 2 or more parties, need to know how to be good with emotions, how to become emotional when they are emotional, how to empathize and not sympathize, how to be vulnerable in a room full of emotions and suffering, how to let grief set its own rules and standards, and you not dictating it. At the core of it, let me summarize all 5 points. Cross-cultural negotiation is about connection, it's about preparation, it's about respect, it's about delivery, it's about being present. Can you bring your presence? Can you be respectful? Can you connect with people? You will be successful. Audacity-based lens, and nothing can stop you. My last comment to summarize all of this: I wrote a piece, an essay with my dear colleague from Cardozo, Professor Leela Love, past president of American Bar Association ADR section. And Professor Love approached me one time and said, Sukhsimran, why don't we write on how or what spirituality or religion teaches us about negotiation? So taking a new dimension on cross-cultural negotiation, just for a second, because many faiths come from, other cultures, not just American-based, but there are, as we know, 2 or 3 faiths that are particularly American-based. So we looked at Christianity, Buddhism, Baha'ism, Judaism, Jainism, Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, and we also looked at humanism. And we look at these 9 practices and we wanted to see what connects us across the spectrum about negotiation, or what's the lesson. And here is our conclusion, which was fascinating. What we found, and we interviewed imams, we interviewed priests and pundits, and our conclusion was, one of the faiths, let's keep it neutral, impartial, so not influence everyone. You want to be careful. As negotiators, your words matter. What you share in your stories matter. So this one faith says beautifully, she says, you want to give a true gift to someone? Give the gift without having any expectation of getting anything back. That's a true gift. A gift that is given with an expectation that I'll gain something back is not a true gift. A gift that is given with the expectation that I'll give this particular thing back is actually a harmful gift. Now, this is a spiritual spectrum. I understand in negotiation, we constantly do it. We call it reciprocity. We call it, I will do this, so somebody else will do this. I get it, the psychological principles and fascinating stuff. But let's get deeper. Let's get real. Our conclusion was, you want to be really good across cultures and these religions, if you may, or what does these religions teach us as the practitioners? They teach us to be a beautiful and amazing and a graceful and a nice negotiator. You may want to be generous. That was our conclusion. That generosity is a key to happiness. People who are actually more generous are more happy. People who give their time, people who give their money, people who help others. How do you apply this to negotiation is up to you. If a bully is sitting in front of you, don't be generous, please. Sometimes bullies need to know how you fight back, right? Don't give them what they're looking for. Don't react to them. But you got to stand up, and a woman in the room, I'm telling you clearly, okay? We have done enough. Minorities in the room, I'm telling you clearly, right? You know when to stand up and when to show what you got. Okay, there are places where you need to stand up and make your voice be heard. So let's take those situations out for a moment and think the world is perfect and beautiful and nice and kind. Then we can start a new train of thought, a new way to negotiate. And that's the new train is based on generosity and being kind, not puffing, bluffing, manipulation. Wouldn't that be nice? Thank you for your time.
Sukhsimranjit, that was wonderful. So many insights, so much information and wisdom packed into that talk. Thank you so much. We have about 20 minutes left, and we generally have a very inquisitive and curious and polite audience of people. So let me invite questions from people, and just unmute yourself and ask a question. And thank you once again, Sukhsimranjit.
I see Anne. Nice to meet you, Anne.
Hi, we have met a few times, but nice to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually have a question, and obviously I'm happy to have the group weigh in on this because this happened to me recently. And in 10 years, it was the first time it had happened to me. I got emotional during a mediation and actually teared up and kind of cried for a second. It was an emotional mediation. It was an unusual situation for me. I had never, obviously I have a lot of empathy and I express that during my sessions, but I'd never actually had a visceral response during the mediation. And I think I handled it very well, but and this could be in light of COVID and everything that's going on with everyone. But I'm curious if anyone else has experienced this, and if you have, and if you have, how you handled it.
Thank you. Let me couple of clarifications. Anne, were you a mediator in this case, or were you a party?
Yes, sir. I was a mediator.
So you're, and I hear some fear in your question. The fear was, did you breach? Am I hearing that right, or I could be totally wrong? Just clarification. Am I hearing that did you breach the tenets of impartiality by being emotional? Is that one of the questions, or no?
I think I did. I don't think I did. I think it was just a natural reaction to the emotions that were going on between the two parties.
Okay, great question. And if you don't know Anne Sire here is a leader in our community in mediation, and she's served on the boards, and she's a terrific mediator. So thank you for your question. this is not fair. Jeff, you cannot put leaders in the community up against me. This is not how it's envisioning it, okay? Anyway, so I think it's a very good question. I have an example, if you may. One of the best ways, so let's use the example and then come to, I want to use both emotional response and a rational response. Let's take both, okay? It'll take me a minute, so bear with me. One of the best ways that I've learned to be in connection with people is the use of emotions. I use emotions in my teaching. This Monday and Tuesday, I worked with a law enforcement agency, and I help police officers express what they're going through, both white, African-American, Asian police officers. And then I heard some community members. There is so much pain in all of those communities right now. And it's emotional. How can I be in that room and not become emotional? First of all, there is no thing that says I can be truly rational, not emotional, and hear them. I think one of the tenets we have to believe in is to connect with them. I have to be with them, be like them, and to go to that space, I have to connect with them at that moment emotionally. Now, I need to connect with other people emotionally too. It's not like one person. So as long as I can connect with people differently in different rooms, but at the same presence, I should be good. Anyways, so the question is there something wrong with it? Absolutely not. I don't believe it. The real thing is, would the other party perceive those that were not emotional when you became emotional with one side? Will they perceive that you belong to the other side, or you were partial, or you took a stand? That's the real question. And for that, we can do 2 or 3 things as negotiators, as mediators. You can speak to them privately, and you can say, listen, that was the way I could connect with them. Remember, she had a loss. She just lost her child. And the way I can empathize, which is very critical for a stage of mediation, which is to show that I understand them, connect with them, repeat who they are, respect them, is to demonstrate through them that I am emotional with them. So I had to do it, and I will do it again. But I don't want you to think that I'm with them. This is my way of hearing. This is my way of connecting. Now I'm with you. If you share a similar story, I'll do the same thing with you. But I'm understanding that you're not in that spot. You're not in that zone. You're not in that dimension. I just wanted to clarify that. Do you have any questions? And I will do it. I could do it with them personally. I could do that in a caucus. I could do that in a joint session. I'm perfectly open. I want to be a vulnerable person in the room when I'm with those people. I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. And I will share a personal story on top of that. To connect with people, what is more beautiful than to share your own personal struggles? Let me share one with you all right now and see, does that play any impact on any of you? I had a disability for most of my life. I stuttered heavily. I couldn't speak. My dream was to come out and speak one day without stuttering. I was not that good in speaking English. So I joined those 2 dreams, and my dream became, I want to be speaking in English one day, and I don't want to stutter. And I kept fighting. I kept fighting with myself, with people who laughed, with people who said you can't do anything. And I loved and cared for people who cared for me. My parents who said, no, it's okay. We believe in you. For my law professors who looked at me and said, you can take longer, finish your comment. Because I was stuttering so heavily, I couldn't finish a comment. I kept the belief on, and I fought, and I fought. And I still have a lot more to fight within myself to reach, to contribute to society the best I think I can. But right now, I'm sharing that story. Do you feel a little bit emotional? And why? Because we are all humans. We are connected. Because my story may have made you realize of 1 or 2 struggles that you have also faced. My story may have told you that you're also fighting. Each one of us are. Some demons somewhere, some incapacity somewhere, or some voices that you've heard. You, my friend, cannot do it. And you told yourself, no, I can. Some man told a woman, you're a woman, you cannot do it. And you said, no, I can. Someone told you across your culture, you're Brazilian, you can't do it. And you said, no, I can. So it's the very manifestation of our humanity that we connect through emotional storytelling, which are real and powerful. But Anne, I have full faith in you, full trust in you. The parties who had in front of you were blessed to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments on that.
Thank you. And we can talk further on analytical analysis of this. And if we violated any confidentiality rules in California, I'm joking. This is a lawyer language now going on. Okay, other questions? You see, Jeff is wearing, I wore a jacket here, okay, to represent my culture, Indian jacket. And then there are some people who can't help themselves, and he got into his closet and he took out a better looking jacket than I did. So, you look great, Josh. Jeff has been to India, and he's a traveler. He understands culture very well. And
I've been to India twice and look forward to the day when I can go there again, Sukhsimran. I had a wonderful experience both times I was there.
I know.
So,
and Jeff, can I say one quick comment?
Please.
Please remember what you're going to say, please, because I want to just... Folks, I miss India so much. It is such a beautiful country with beautiful people. There are 28 states plus a union territory. There are hundreds of languages spoken every day, hundreds of languages. The color of your turban changes every day. The way you wear turban changes. Your faith changes. The food changes from north to south. The taste, the spices changes. The way people dress changes. The way people think changes. The singing changes. The music changes. Poetry changes. Education changes. Color of skin changes. And most importantly, generations changes. In India, we touch the feet of our elder. Chuck is not from India. I'll touch his feet any day. I've been with him. I've learned so much from him. And he has so much wisdom. We touch the feet of elders we believe who can give us wisdom. So I miss India. I just wanted to make that comment. I know few people are here from India. You are blessed. You're lucky to have that nation. Protect it. Claim it. Embrace it. Those of us who have chosen a different path, miss it. I'm very proud to be American now, and I love America and the different shades of America. But it's okay to miss where you came from. Jeff, back to you.
Sukhsimran, let's see if other people have questions. We have a little over 10 minutes left.
Sounds good.
Anybody? Yes, Rubina, please.
Hi, good morning to all. I'm Rubina from Nepal, pretty close to India. Yeah.
It is.
So, yeah. Hi. So my question was, so when you look at someone as being a part of a certain culture, do you not, let's say, are you not putting them inside a certain box? And isn't there a possibility that you may offend them in a certain way if you treat a person in a certain way because they belong to a certain culture?
Rubina actually asked a terrific question. And the question goes to the heart of the tension of what I say cross-cultural negotiations and mediation. You touch the heart of it. And the tension is this. If you look at me for a second, folks, the tension is on one end, we have this wisdom, this history, this tradition, this writings, these scholarship that says, let's just take example, Indians, Nepalese are like this, Americans are like this in negotiation, okay? On the other end, we have understanding that individuals are different and are unique. And each one of us bring our own upbringing and unique worldviews. And regardless of our name, our look, our upbringing is Indian or Nepalese or American, we could be different. So how do you merge these two tendencies? And that's a beautiful question because it's a difficult question. And here is a simple answer, and I will take one hit, but other people in the room may have better answer than me. I'm one of you. There's nothing, nothing like I have the only right to speak. So my answer is this. You need to be humble. This lens where you are individual, that could be different. That humility needs to be leading you to American word curiosity or Nepalese or Indian word silence. That humility should tell you, I have no idea who's in the room and I want to learn about this person. But there should be some feedback from this part of your brain that have seen the person. The feedback should be, okay, he's grew up in India, he lived in India, I'm in India, and my understanding is Indians are collectivist, high context, polychronic, and they love power structure. So now you need to apply both instantly in different places in mediation. You can't quit. This should serve as a base. It should not be judgment. It should not be stereotype. One of my colleagues uses the word prototype, or some information, or some kind of baseline, some kind of expectations that you may create. But that's all it is. Assumption and expectation that you, my friend, should be open to challenging yourself within your own mind constantly, because this is where the individual is. So that's a short answer. This is a very difficult question, but I want to be quick and short. It is powerful because we should not stereotype people across cultures. In the beginning, people used to culture and say, okay, Italians are like this. When you in Italy, do this. Americans are like this. And people have overcome that. And they realize this is untrue, because there is 1.3, 1.5 billion Indians. How do you tell them Indians are like this, right? And look at China, look at America, how diverse America is. We are millions of Americans. We come from all walks of life. We have all kinds of accents. And how can you say Americans are like this? So does that help at all, Rubina? It's a very good question, but that's why our job, and those of us who are mediators, is unique, is delicate. It takes so much responsibility. And that's why it's challenging, because there is no simple answer here. You have to be on your feet. You have to be impartial. You still have to use your brain and your wisdom and your knowledge, but at the same time, constantly learn and improvise and expect and change that expectation based on what the other person is delivering you.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer.
My pleasure. Good question. Very good question. Which place are you from Nepal?
Kathmandu itself.
Kathmandu. Are you a mediator?
I aspire to be one.
Okay. Congratulations. And I'd love to speak to you in future if needed. But thank you for joining our profession.
Sure.
Other questions?
So, this is Key Wilson, and I'm from Houston. And first, I honor the work that you're doing, and I thank you for being so open and honest about it. I have grown a lot in my time, growing up as an African American in the South. I have married a Japanese American man, and met people from across the globe who oftentimes have a familial culture, yet also have an environmental or geographical culture that is very different from their familial culture. And so Rubina posed a question that I was going to pose. And in response to that, I love that you said you have to challenge yourself. And I think we honor ourselves in being open-minded and realizing that when we go into any interaction at any time, we may have an expectation, we may have a view, but to always remind yourself to be open that you could be completely wrong, or you can totally accept and adapt at the moment at which you meet someone to receive what they're sharing with you. And so I really appreciate you sharing that message, because being a Southerner, it's a little tough sometimes to get people to be as open-minded and be willing to pivot at the time that they experience someone differently.
That's beautifully said. Miss Wilson, is it Kai first name?
Key.
Key. Thank you. I wanted to correct. I wanted to be.
Thank you.
Names are very important, folks. So Key, my apologies, Key. Beautiful name and a beautiful message. I truly believe in it, ma'am. And I want to add one point to it, and that is, at the base of our triangle, if we all have a triangle, is our values, our upbringing, our belief system, and who we are, right? At the core of who is our identity, if you may. But we all have to realize that above it, we have shaped our lens, how we see the other. Some people call it worldview, the lens, your approach to people. And then there's communication and how we interact. What you have to realize, what we all have to realize is, it's very difficult for us to change our values. We know we can challenge them, belief systems, but assuming we are slightly lazy and comfortable, okay? I'm talking about myself, and we believe in our values and we want to keep them, okay? Still, we can challenge our worldview. How we see the other is a beautiful internal struggle, as Key rightly put it, each one of us have. And I'll say one comment on mediation and stop talking. My apologies, I'm taking time. And that is, mediation, those of you who are not mediators, it's an amazing profession for many reasons. We bring people together, we bring peace, we go away from adversarialness, we reduce litigation, we reduce cost, we help people, we love people, we hear them, we make them heard, and so forth and so on. Beyond that, there is something good about mediation. You know, friends, what that is? We train our own mind to become more step by step, slowly, one by one, a little more impartial. We all know as mediators, it's very difficult to attain the true state of impartiality or neutrality. We all know that, right? And some of us call it multi-partiality and whatnot. But the point Key mentioned here beautifully is that based on whatever you are, you can still challenge the worldview so that you can see people as same. You can see people without differences. You understand the depth of suffering of people, and you can connect with them. So I can keep going, but it looks like we have 1 minute left. And how about we turn this into an Indian webinar, and all due respect to my culture, my original culture. And my father would say, I felt connected to people, so I delayed, and I gave a 4-hour lecture instead of 1-hour lecture. And I feel like doing it today, and I'm sure all of you will stay on, right?
We would all be delighted to, because what you have to say is so very valuable. It's tremendous, Sukhsimran. All the wisdom, all the insight, all the depth of your own self that you've been so willing to share with us this morning, and we all thank you very much for that. You are correct that the clock on the wall says it is about time for us to wrap up. Before we end, Sukhsimran, are there any final parting comments you wish to make to us?
Thank you. Jeff, first of all, I thank you again. I really enjoyed this. I don't want 300 people. I want quality. I want people who want to be here, and the presence of people here. And I know a couple of you by your names. I don't see your photos, but videos. But thank you for being here. I know Vikram, thank you for being here. Tina and Thomas and Nabila, others. And what I want to say is this, Jeff, in the end, that is, we have a lot of work to do as human beings, as collective citizens of a society, and as international cadre of peacemakers, mediators, international negotiators, if you may. So let's work together. There is a lot of reading, writing that we still need to do, and there is also self-introspection, but please don't underestimate the power of teaching. There's a lot of teaching we need to do. So I'm here just because if one of my words, just one of my words you liked, share it further. That's the only way we're going to change the society. We're going to share, and we have the power of sharing. Folks, I have given a couple of TEDx talks. If you want to delve deeper, you can look at them, and they may help you understand culture from American perspective. My first one was Negotiating for Love. And my second one was Made in India, where I share some of my struggles. And you may enjoy them if you have time. If you've already seen it, I'd appreciate. Thank you. And help me move further. Any comments you have, write to me. And I will love to, very easy to find me. My website is singadr.com. I will put it up here, and it has all my connection and phone number and everything. Love to hear from you. Jeff, thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure. And Natalie's still here. Natalie, thank you for for all your work here. Thank you all.
Sukhsimran, thank you. Thank you. We are greatly indebted to you for sharing so deeply of your heart, your mind, and your soul with us today. It's just wonderful to see that the Strauss Institute is in your good hands, and will achieve ever more under your leadership and your stewardship. So thank you. And please recall, everybody, this is part of the Will Work for Food project. We hope everybody enjoyed the program enough to contribute whatever you're comfortable contributing to a food bank of your choice to help combat the serious problem of food insecurity in our world. Natalie, any last words?
Jeff, I see a question quickly. Just Natalie, write to you. I see a question I missed, which is remote settings. Somebody asked, can you speak negotiating across culture in remote setting? I have one word answer. I just did it. We all connected. This is remote. You can do anything remotely. is exhausting for your eyes, for your heart, for your mind, but we can do it. Back to you, Natalie.
So, Professor, I only want to say thank you so much for honoring all of us with your time and your wisdom. And we wish you and all of your family, neighbors, and friends the best during these strange times.
Okay, I hate to end this hour. It was such a great hour, but thank you all very much, especially Professor Sukhsimranjit Singh of Pepperdine University School of Law. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. We're complete.
Take care all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.